fiance called me from a yard sale and said the people were selling a Coleman stove that operated off propane, and she said it looked just like the one that I already had. So I told her to get it because it was like 15 bucks. So this is it. It's a 14G stove, and it does operate off propane. And this is as she got it, with the propane cylinders in it and everything. So now I've got one that operates off propane, and I got one that operates off gas. Now, while she was on the phone with me, she said they also had a box that was black and brown, and it also had Coleman on it. And this is it, a Coleman oven. Now, this particular model is from the 1960s, 1970s, and it does operate off of propane stove. You don't use these on a gas stove. So now I have the makings of a good camp kitchen. I got the Coleman propane stove and the Coleman oven. Now, both of these units are kind of in disrepair, and I've done a video on restoring the Coleman stove. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to focus on the Coleman oven. I know it's basically just a metal box, but I've got to get it back in working order. And by working order, I mean it's supposed to fold down to like 2 inches. And I tried to break it down, but it's rusted. It's got food burn in it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to clean it up, paint it, and I'm really excited about trying it out on the propane stove. So let's get started. Before I start working on the oven, I need to see what kind of shape the stove is in. So I'm going to open it up and see if it works. So that eye works. And the other eye works. So here's a look inside the oven, and the cooking grate looks like it's in pretty good shape. It does have some cooked on food on it that I've got to get cleaned off, but all in all, the inside doesn't look that bad. I got the inside of it cleaned out using a Scotch-Brite pad, and there's still some areas of rust like down in here and down there, but there's not really anything I can do about it because I can't really use a high temp paint on the inside of this oven. So I think it's just going to have to kind of be as is. But one thing I do notice is the bottom tray is bent. So I'll have to do some body work on that. So now I'm going to get started on the outside. Now I've got it functioning to where it'll fold back down and all the hinges are broke loose and the levers are broke loose and this, that, and the other, I can go ahead and start sanding it and then add a coat of high temp paint to it. All right, so I got the outside of the oven painted. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna like this flat color or not. So here's a look at the inside of it. And like I said, it cleaned up pretty good. I was able to get a lot of the oxidation off here. There's still some rust places in here, but like I said, I'm not gonna paint on the inside of this. And the rack itself's in pretty good shape. It's got a couple little rust places on it after I hit it with a Scotch-Brite pad. So all in all, I believe this will work. Now that I've got this oven cleaned and painted, I need to take and put it on the stove. One, just to check and make sure that it'll work. And two, to go ahead and gas off this paint before I use it. I got my stove set up to cast the paint off of this oven, and I want to see if it'll get up to temperature. And today it's about 50 degrees outside and raining. Yes, it actually does get cold here in Alabama, so I figured it'd be a good day to try this out. As you can see, the temperature's on 0, so it started off good and cold. My oven's only been on here for just a couple of minutes and the temperature's reached about 100 degrees. But one thing I've noticed in those couple of minutes is that the top of this is just about to where you can't touch it. All right, so there's 150 and it's been on there 5 minutes. There's 200 at 6 minutes. There's 250 at 8 minutes. There's 300 at 10 minutes. The oven has reached 350 degrees and it took about 12 minutes to do that. So now I'm going to turn the stove off and see how long the temperature will hold. It's taking about 7-8 minutes for it to drop down below 300. To test out my oven, I'm just going to use a simple bannock mix that I normally keep in my get home bag. The bannock mix itself is flour, baking powder, and a little bit of salt, some bacon grease, and then some water. I got my stove set up, now I'm ready to preheat my oven. My oven is now up to temperature. Now I'm going to take my oven and try to move it over to this side to maintain the temperature so I can see if I can cook with the other side while this is baking. It's not working putting it on this side, so I'll have to move it back to the other side. Now that I got my temperature back up, I'm going to see if I can relight this side and use it. And while that's baking for another 10 minutes, I'm going to try to roast some acorns. The bread's been in there about 20 minutes, so it should be done. I'm gonna go ahead and take it out. Gonna let it cool for just a minute. Well, it's done all the way through. And it tastes pretty good too. So with my bread being done all the way through, I know that the oven works great. The stove worked great and the oven worked great. So for $30, not only did I get a classic 413G stove and a classic Coleman oven, I got a great foundation for a camp kitchen, which just goes to show you that even though something is old and rusted and not shiny and new, it's still useful. And I did pay my fiance back the $30 that she spent. So thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all next time.